We didn't order anything for your kids, my mom said, handing them napkins while my sister's daughters unboxed their $65 pasta and desserts. Her husband added, "Be grateful they were even invited." I just nodded and whispered, "Copy that." When the waiter came back, I stood up and said, "You ever feel like you're the family ATM, the one everyone dips into until you're running on fumes?" I did. And for years, I just let it happen. Until one night, at a supposedly fancy family dinner, a tiny, humiliating napkin became the spark that finally ignited my breaking point. So, let me set the scene for you. My name is Chris. I'm 34, the middle child, which basically means I'm the designated family problem solver, the one who gets pinged when the group chat goes nuclear over logistics. I teach 9th grade algebra at a public high school. Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. I love clean lines, cheap coffee, and a schedule you can set your watch to. My world revolves around my two amazing kids, Max, who's 9, and my little firecracker, Lily, 6. Their mom and I split 3 years ago, but we co-parent like a well-oiled machine. Shared calendars, alternating weekends, a meticulous folder for kid expenses. We make it work. But in my other family, the one I grew up in, being the numbers guy somehow morphed into being the guy who's always good for it. My older sister, Jen, she's the golden child. 2 perfect girls, a sparkling SUV, and an Instagram feed that looks like a gratitude journal threw up. Her husband, Trevor, is one of those solution sales types, probably paid in branded corporate swag. My mom, she's a whirlwind of baking tips and moral lectures, depending on the day. And my dad, he just watches sports with the volume low, usually muttering, "Don't start." Look, I'm not dramatic. I just like things to add up. I like 8 slices of pizza, 2 for everyone. I like a receipt that matches reality. That's why I got good at living small, at knowing the price of milk and the exact minute the laundry room is empty. My kids and I, we make pancakes on Sundays and turn them into math problems. If Dad flips 3 pancakes a minute, how many before Lily starts sneaking chocolate chips from the bowl? It's our thing. Family reunions used to be classic chaos, plastic tablecloths, deviled eggs, and my aunt inevitably crying in the driveway. But this year, Mom went upscale. She booked a fancy restaurant, citing Grandpa's knees, but really, it was for the kind of photos where we all look like we taste old money. She even sent a PDF agenda. Arrive 5:45, group photo 6:10, dinner 6:30. It was supposed to be family style to prevent over-ordering, complete with a winky emoji. My gut clenched a little, but I ignored it. I dressed like a teacher, desperately trying not to look like a teacher. Clean shirt, the one belt that wasn't peeling. Max layered his dinosaur t-shirt under his sweater, convinced it was a clever trick. Lily insisted on her sparkly shoes because restaurants like sparkle. We came prepared, crayons, apple slices. I bribed them with the promise of bread. Bread always works. We got there early because I hate being late. The place was all white tablecloths and servers doing magic tricks with 3 plates per hand. Mom waved us over like a TV host doing a big reveal. "Look at you." She air-kissed my cheek. Teacher chic. Jen glided in moments later, her girls in matching bows, Trevor strutting behind them, a grin that screamed valet parking is my personality. He slapped me on the shoulder. "Professor Chris." "Just Mr." I corrected, already tired. The waiter launched into his spiel. Family-style starters, entrees curated for variety. And then, this is important, kids' boxes with pasta, fruit, dessert, and a craft element. He looked like he genuinely loved his job. I actually believed him. But even as he spoke, Mom was already at it. She slid a stack of napkins, fanned out like a bad hand of cards, right in front of Max and Lily. "We didn't order for your kids," she whispered, soft and syrupy, as if she was doing me a huge favor. "They can just nibble from the mains. We don't want to spoil their appetites." "They're not boys," I corrected her, a knee-jerk habit. "One of them is Lily." Mom just fluttered her hand. "Oh, you know what I mean." Then Jen, practically preening, leaned into her girls. "Guess what?" she stage whispered, loud enough for the whole table. "Surprise boxes with desserts." Her daughter squealed. Trevor, of course, drummed the table in a display of proud, approving rhythm. Sure enough, the waiter came back, carrying 2 adorable cardboard carriers shaped like little houses. He set them down in front of Jen's girls. "2 kids' packages," he announced, 65 each. Then, he turned his polite, questioning face to me. "Should I bring 2 more?" I started to open my mouth, but Mom's hand darted out, quicker than mine. She actually nudged those napkins even closer to Max and Lily, as if she was dealing them a different, sadder kind of meal. "No," she told the waiter, a smile plastered on. "We'll share. We're a sharing, caring family." Trevor, without even looking at me, chimed in, "Be grateful they were invited." He said it like a joke, but it wasn't a joke. My neck started to prickle, a slow burn of indignation. Max tugged my sleeve, his innocent eyes wide. "Are napkins food, Dad?" My heart sank. "Not yet, buddy," I murmured. The table erupted into that familiar family cacophony, stories overlapping, laughter echoing a little too loud. The waiter, a silent ghost, drifted in and out with plates, salads, baskets of bread. My kids, bless their hearts, reached carefully, said please, and thank you, drawing mazes on a paper kids menu that wasn't even theirs. Jen's girls tore into their little house-shaped boxes like it was Christmas morning, while everyone else just nodded, completely oblivious to the injustice, acting like this was all perfectly normal. The real trigger wasn't just the napkins. It wasn't even Trevor's snide remark about being grateful. It was the moment Mom caught the waiter's eye, a predator spotting prey. He was hovering nearby, holding that black leather check presenter like a bird waiting to land. She didn't say my name directly. She just tipped her chin at me, a casual, dismissive gesture. The kind you make when you're pointing to a trash can, telling someone where to dispose of something. Chris will settle, she said, light as air, like she was granting me a great honor. He's our numbers man. The waiter looked at me, then at my kids, then back to me. And in that moment, something inside my chest clicked. It wasn't a slow realization. It was a hard, definitive snap. It went from, I'll deal with this later, to this is happening now. I didn't stand up. Not yet. I just placed a flat palm on the table, feeling the solid wood under my hand, grounding myself. And I said the quietest thing I'd said in years, barely above a whisper, mostly to myself. Copy that. I knew then. When the waiter came back, I was finally ready. Ready to say something I had deliberately, painfully, avoided for a decade. You see, I didn't choose to become the family's wallet. It happened so slowly, you know? Like dishes piling up in a sink. You finally look, and it's not just one plate, it's all of them. I was 15 when Mom first asked if I could float Jen $40 for a formal dress. You're so responsible with your allowance, she'd said, and you'll get it back Friday. Friday stretched into, I thought you understood what family means. And just like that, I learned. In our house, borrow meant don't ask again. At 17, I started tutoring for cash, $20 an hour. Mom would brag to everyone about how generous Jen was, helping younger girls with makeup. Meanwhile, I was handing Jen my hard-earned cash because she'd cried about not being allowed to hold a tab. I told myself I was just being the nice one. It's easy to be generous when you're a kid and $20 feels like forever. By 22, I was student teaching, driving a car that coughed and clicked, picking up bookstore shifts just for gas money. Jen called me from the mall. I need help. It's an emergency. I pictured a flat tire. It was a designer diaper bag she had to get for a friend's shower. We'll split it, she chirped. It'll be from both of us. Funny thing about splitting, I paid at the register, and she posted a photo of my sweet find with a caption about adulting. My wife and I married young. We were broke. The way you are when your kitchen is all hand-me-downs and your pantry is 6 different kinds of pasta. When Max was born, Mom showed up with groceries and then told everyone she was keeping us afloat. The receipt on my counter said otherwise. I had paid. She just picked. When Jen had her first daughter, the whole family started orbiting that baby. I didn't resent the baby. I resented the orbit that included me when there was a bill and excluded me when there was credit. I kept telling myself it would even out. I believed in math. I truly thought if I just kept track, kept calm, the universe would eventually balance the numbers. Here's a list I once swore I'd never write, and then wrote anyway. 10 airport runs in 1 year. You're already up early. Mom says you're a morning person. 3 last-minute dog sits, because we forgot you can't bring dogs to wine country. $250 for a family fundraiser table Jen didn't want to bother other people about. $480 over one summer for camp snacks when camp turned out to be their backyard, and snacks were organic pouches with names that sounded like personality traits. 90 here, 60 there, 35 because it's tacky to ask a server to split, and you're so good with tip calculation. The asks got smarter, less obvious, harder to trace. Can you just grab it? You're already at the store. You like doing this stuff. I became the person who just likes to cover things. My divorce didn't help. It made me a softer target. People see a single dad and just assume you're either collecting handouts or you owe gratitude for being included. I started talking less at gatherings, keeping Max and Lily close. I cut coupons from an app, made extra rice and called it Crispy Rice Night, so it sounded like a choice. But the numbers still anchored me. I could open my bank app, scroll through the charges, and name every single dollar. I knew I wasn't crazy. Then Trevor arrived in the family, a walking seminar on value. He threw around words like leverage, asset, cost center. The first time I asked him to watch Max for an hour. While I ran to school to fix a projector the principal swore was life or death, he said yes. The next day, he texted, no stress either way. Shoot me $40 when you can. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. He sent a Venmo request, complete with a handshake emoji and the note. Time is value. Mom defended him. He's just organized, she'd said. You could learn a thing or two. It takes guts to ask for what you're worth. It also takes guts to be family without invoices. I shot back. She sighed, looking at me like I was a particularly dense student. You're always so literal. Mom, I told her, I teach equations. Being literal is my job. So, when Mom announced this reunion dinner, I paid close attention to her words. Adults $70, kids $65. But let's not get fussy. Family style makes it simpler, she added, then clarified. We'll do boxes for the girls because they're picky. And then, almost as an afterthought, Chris, bring crayons for your two. I asked if I should order boxes for Max and Lily. Her reply, in writing, was, let's see how they do with the mains. We don't want extra charges. A week before the dinner, Trevor, ever they organized one, sent me a friendly reminder Venmo request for $18.72, labeled abs from last time. Your share. Last time was a barbecue at my parents' where I bought the chips and salsa from a bulk store. I didn't pay his request. I also didn't fight. I just told myself, at the restaurant, I'd draw the line, calmly, like reviewing a math proof. No yelling, no lecture, no elaborate math lesson. Just one simple sentence. But the small humiliations kept dripping. Max asked why his cousins sometimes got fancy restaurant boxes, and he didn't. I told him, we do family style. He just looked up and said, is family style when you don't get your own? Lily, sweet Lily, asked if napkins were just very flat bread. I laughed, because if I didn't laugh, I swear I would have thrown something. The day of the reunion, I packed the kids' bag like a field medic preparing for battle. Apples, crayons, stickers, that emergency granola bar that tastes like sawdust but can prevent a meltdown. I dressed us like we were trying to disappear into the fancy wallpaper. I kept repeating it to myself. Asterisk one sentence. You can say one sentence. Asterisk we walked in. Napkins slid. Be grateful. Boxes unwrapped. And then, the waiter's eyes flicked to me, a silent plea for direction, like I was the only sane adult in a play where everyone else was pretending money was feelings. And that's when Mom said it. That casual, dismissive line. Chris will settle. But this time, my hands didn't shake. My voice didn't rise. The math, years of quiet resentment, finally balanced in my head. All those small bills stacked against this one tiny boundary. I waited. When the waiter returned, that black folder tucked under his arm, I stood up. Not dramatically, just enough so he could hear me clearly, so I wasn't just another whispered voice at the table. Can you split the bill? I asked. By who got served? He blinked, then nodded slowly, like a man who'd been waiting his entire shift for someone to say a perfectly normal sentence. Mom, though, let out that bright, forced laugh, the kind people use when they need witnesses. Oh, Christopher, she chirped, it's one bill. We always do one bill. Aunt Karen chimed in. We trust you. You're the math teacher. Trevor, still leaning back like a king in a discount painting, smirked. Buddy, don't be that guy. I pointed gently, with an open hand, toward the kids. 2 kids' boxes were served at that end. I said, my voice steady. Max and Lily weren't served those. We shared the mains. We'll pay for what we ate. Jen's smile thinned, completely evaporated. Chris, she hissed, this is tacky. It's accurate. I replied, calm as glass. Mom's mouth made a small O, like a fish discovering it was in a glass bowl. This family doesn't nickel and dime, she declared. This family has been nickel and diming me for a long time, I said, stacking each word carefully, like small, solid blocks. I'm done with that. The waiter hovered, a careful bird, unsure of whose storm to weather. I can itemize, he offered. No problem. Don't you dare, Mom snapped at him, her cheer a thin veil over pure poison. We're together. Please do, I told him, looking him straight in the eye, by what was actually served. He looked between us, like someone choosing between 2 roads, and picked the one with streetlights. Yes, sir, he said to me, and disappeared. A profound quiet settled over the table, thick and heavy, like a perfectly ironed napkin. Jen, not so quietly, whispered to Trevor, he's making a scene over pasta. Trevor, still in his king on a discount throne pose, gave me that condescending smirk he reserves for teachable moments. Look, man, he began, last month, we watched your kids so you could run your emergency to school. Did I send a Venmo? Sure, but it's all family. It evens out. My jaw tightened. You sent an invoice for watching your nieces and nephew. I corrected him, my voice flat. You also ate my Doritos and took my last Gatorade. A few cousins stifled snorts into their water glasses. Mom, ever the master of deflection, tried to pivot. Chris, be grateful you were invited. There it was. That line. Again. I looked at her, then at Max and Lily, coloring a cat that looked suspiciously like a potato. Stop saying that to me, I said, the words cutting through the forced politeness. I'm your son, not a guest. Just then, the waiter reappeared, 3 black folders held with the solemn care of a surgeon. He placed one in front of my parents, one in front of Jen and Trevor, and one in front of me. I split based on the items I saw delivered, he explained, his voice calm. 2 kids' boxes went here. He tapped near Jen's elbow. Everything else is grouped accordingly. I can adjust if needed. Jen ripped open her folder like it might explode. This is, she gasped, $198 for pasta? Trevor squinted, as if numbers were a personal insult. Why does it say 65 twice? Kids' packages. The waiter clarified. It says so right there. Mom opened hers next. $224. She stared at the sheet like it had personally insulted her. We hardly ate. Dad just coughed into his napkin, looking at me like I was the umpire in a very unexpected game. I opened mine. $39. Before tip. 2 sodas, a plate the kids actually ate, and a side of vegetables they mostly ignored. I slid my card in, closed the folder. Mom's voice, now sharp, cut through the tension. Put that away. No, I said. You're embarrassing yourself, she countered. I'm not embarrassed. I corrected her. I'm correcting bad math. Aunt Karen tried to lighten the mood. It's just dinner, honey. It's not, I told her. It's a pattern. Jen's cheeks flushed a bright, angry red. You're punishing my kids. My kids were given napkins, I said, the quiet statement hitting harder than any shout. They're fine. Trevor leaned forward, elbows on the table, striking his man-talk pose. This is petty, man. This isn't about revenge, I said, my voice steady, clear. This is about closure. I'm done being the person you assume will pay just because I know what 8 times 15% is. The waiter took my card with a small, knowing nod, like we shared a private joke no one else got. He moved to Jen. She slid her card in with a shaky inhale. Trevor added his with a flourish, as if the flourish itself counted as money. Mom still hadn't moved. Your father and I, she began, her voice quivering. We'll pay for what you ate, I said, like everyone else. She stared at me, eyes wide with disbelief. I didn't look away. I love my mother, but I also love my kids. And sometimes, loving both at the same time means saying no to one of them. When the waiter finally left, Max whispered, Did we do something wrong? I knelt down and hugged them both tight. No, buddy, I said, we're doing something right. No one wanted cake anymore. The 610 group photo slot ghosted past us, forgotten. People started gathering their coats like shields. The cousins stared intently at their shoes. Jen muttered, wow, like a prayer that didn't quite reach heaven. I signed my slip, added a generous tip for the waiter, a person who truly carried more than just plates, and then I stood. From now on, I said to the hushed table, my voice carrying clearly, I pay for what I order, and for who I bring. That's it. Mom opened her mouth, closed it, then actually turned, as if searching for a camera that wasn't there. I helped Max and Lily into their jackets. We walked out into the cool evening air, an evening that smelled faintly of someone else's dessert. My phone buzzed in my pocket like a trapped, angry bee. I didn't look at it. The air outside felt clean, like math finally done correctly. We hadn't even left the parking lot before my phone lit up like a slot machine. Jen, you humiliated me. Mom, call me. Trevor, not cool, man. We're not your ATM. Aunt Karen. Sweetheart, I think you overreacted, but we love you. I flipped the phone face down in the cup holder. Chocolate or vanilla? I asked the kids. Chocolate, they both cheered. We drove through, got milkshakes with the giant neon ice cream cone sign. I told them we were celebrating surviving the fancy restaurant. They clinked their paper cups and officially declared it a holiday. Back home, after showers and pajamas and one more bedtime story, I sat on the couch and opened the family group chat. The messages were stacked. Mom, I don't know who you think you are. Mom again, I have done everything for you. Jen, as a mother, I can't believe you'd make dinner about money. And of course, Trevor, a Venmo request for $22.40, labeled bread plus shared apps. I typed, deleted. Typed, deleted. Then, with a deep breath, I wrote one clear, unambiguous message. New policy for me. No group bills. No, we'll settle later. No babysitting invoices. I'll pay for what I order and who I bring. If it's a real emergency, call me. If it's not, budget. I put the phone down. It buzzed so furiously it migrated across the table like an agitated bug. I finally flipped it to do not disturb and wrote a sticky note in block letters. You're allowed to say no. I stuck it to my laptop because, yes, I'm corny, and that's how I remember things. The next morning, the kids devoured cereal with heroic amounts of banana, completely oblivious to the digital war zone on my phone. I checked my email. There was one from Trevor, friendly reminder. It read, attaching an Excel sheet titled Running Totals. I didn't even open it. I just archived it. Taking the kids to school and daycare, waving at the crossing guard, I felt this strange calm in my chest, like the clean aftertaste of finally saying the right thing. At 10:12 a.m., Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again, and again. At 10:20, a message popped up, a voicemail that sounded like a speech she'd practiced in her car. Christopher, she began, and that's how I always know I'm in trouble. I don't know what got into you. You made me look like a fool in front of my own mother. Your sister is devastated. Trevor is hurt. Be the bigger person. Apologize, and I will forgive you. I listened to it twice. And that line, I will forgive you, just hit different. I didn't think I needed forgiveness for asking to pay my own damn bill. At lunch, microwaving leftover chili in the math department lounge, I told myself not to check my phone. Of course I checked it. Jen had posted a story of her girls in matching pajamas, captioned, protecting their joy. Trevor posted a boomerang of a wallet snapping shut with the text, boundaries go both ways. I muted them both. There was a small, satisfying pleasure in pressing that mute button. It felt like turning down a radio that was only static. After school, grading quizzes at my kitchen table, Lily built a fort out of couch cushions. Max, ever curious, asked if decimals were just tiny fractions that got squished. I told him yes, and we high-fived. Then, the doorbell rang. It was Mom, holding a tin of cookies like a peace treaty. I didn't invite her up. We talked in the entryway, the plastic giraffe from outside bobbing at my ankles. Let's reset, she said. Family movie night Saturday. I'll make lasagna. No thanks, I replied. Her eyes flashed. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not, I said. I'm choosing. She pulled out the guilt card. Do you remember who paid for your braces? Who drove you to tutoring? You act like we never did anything for you. You were my parents, I stated, calm and firm. That wasn't a loan. And none of that means I owe you for the rest of my life. She lowered her voice, trying a different tack. Your sister has a lot on her plate. So do I shot back. 2 kids, 1 salary. I teach, Mom, I don't mind crypto. She lifted the tin. Cookies. Take them to Jen's. She likes being grateful, I responded. Her mouth tightened. Be grateful you were invited, she said, out of habit. Stop saying that. I told her, my voice clear. I'm your son. She left the cookies on the floor by my door like a package no one wanted to sign for. I left them there until the kids were asleep, then put them in the freezer. Because, hey, I'm not above eating rage cookies later. The week kept testing me in small ways. Aunt Karen texted, your uncle can't get his iPad to work. Can you swing by? We'll feed you lasagna. I typed back. I charge $90 an hour for house calls, smiling face with smiling eyes. Then followed with, just kidding. No, sorry. It felt good to be both unserious and serious at the same time. Jen emailed me an actual PDF invoice, titled, Babysitting Balance, Family Rate, for $160. There were line items that were absolute fiction, like, watching Max while Chris got a haircut, which was hilarious, because Max was with me, asking the barber questions about clippers. My reply, no? That's it. Just no. The quiet parts of my day suddenly got louder, but in a good way. I made a new sub-account in my bank, titled Kids Only. I moved $100 into it on payday, just enough to feel like I was choosing my own invoice. I booked the kids into a Saturday community center day camp for the weekends I used to rely on family help. It was $35 each, and they came home smelling like gym mats and pure, unadulterated pride. Max learned foosball. Lily learned whistles are very, very loud. Mom kept texting pictures of lasagna from family movie night, as if the food itself would lure us back. We missed you, she'd write. It's not the same without your giant bowls. I stared at the photo, thinking of my grandmother's mixing bowls, the ones she gave me last year that Mom had kept safe at her house. I texted back. Please send Grandma's bowls home with me next time you're by. She sent a single thumbs up. No words. On Thursday, Grandpa called. He's a quiet man, but he doesn't pretend. You okay? He asked. I am, I said. Good, he replied. Your grandmother says you were right. About what? I asked, genuinely curious. About the waiter, he said. I laughed, a genuine, joyful sound. Friday after school, I asked the kids what they wanted for dinner. Breakfast, Lily declared. So, we made pancakes for dinner, measuring flour like a lab experiment, doing fractions with measuring cups. Max poured batter in the shape of the number 8 and yelled, Infinite pancakes. We ate at the table with the good napkins I'd bought on sale years ago, the ones we use when we feel fancy. No one sent me a bill for using them. The family chat slowly simmered down to a weird, polite quiet. People started asking if I was coming to things for the first time, instead of just assuming, like I had a choice. I said no a lot. I said yes to things that didn't require me to be a wallet. We walked to the park on Sunday mornings instead of driving across town for brunch where a kid's menu waffle was $14 and came with a dry sticker. A small package appeared on my doormat a week later. No note. Inside, wrapped in crinkled tissue paper that smelled faintly of Mom's spice cabinet, were my grandmother's bowls. I washed them and made popcorn in them that night. The kids said the bowls were too big for popcorn, which meant they were perfect. It wasn't all easy. Jen sent me a midnight text one night. Are we good? That kind of text that isn't a question, it's a trap. I typed out a furious reply. Pay your bills. Don't send me invoices for being an uncle. Don't expect napkins to be meals for my kids. I deleted it. I typed again. We can be, if you stop expecting me to be your budget. I sent that one. Her response was a single word. Wow. I just let it float there. The next morning, taking the kids to school, I thought about how truly weird it is that the world doesn't actually blow up when you set one boundary. I'd been bracing for a hurricane. Turns out, the storm was mostly just a group chat and some awkward silence at a table we don't even own. That Saturday, we went to the library. Max checked out a book about bugs. Lily, my sweet Lily, checked out a book about a bunny that learns to say no. At bedtime, tucked in tight, Lily asked, Is no a mean word, Dad? I stroked her hair. It's a true word, sweetheart, I told her. It makes room for the yes you really want. She nodded, like that was the sweetest dessert she'd ever heard.